Hello, hi y'all. It is Monday, the 2nd of November, Election Day in America, North America, and let's go ahead and talk about what's going on. Today is a self root chakra day, Muladhara root chakra, right? So if you're going to be doing chakra chants, chakra work, root is where it's at. Red, ironically, I'm wearing the color. Um, do your Muladhara work, do the mudras, do the mantras. You'll see benefits. I promise. I'm going to do it today myself. White planetary mirror guided by death. So, that's according to the dream spell. Let's go ahead and get some cards. The sun is in Scorpio. The moon is in Gemini, where my natal moon is. Mercury is in retrograde in Libra. Venus also in Libra. Mars in retrograde in Aries. So, what do we have for this moon day ruled by the moon? Um, Probably an interesting day. One for the history books, no doubt. So, what wants to pop? We've got Eight of Swords. Interesting, interesting. So, especially with the moon in Gemini, which is mind, swords of mind, we might be feeling a little trapped right now. Like, oh my god, I don't want to pick A or B for the election, right? And I feel like I'm in a situation that I don't want to be in, but here we are, folks. So how do you make do with the entombment process, right? Eight of Swords, exploring the realm of constriction and how it frees you. Haley knows what I'm going through. Power of surrender. I believe surrender was the card, one of the cards she pulled for us in our personal reading. Like, we pull cards with each other every morning. Surrender. Freedom is a state of mind and becoming a catalyst for transformation. The Eight of Swords, I use what restricts to expand. The Eight of Swords explores the realm of powerlessness, and because Scorpio Sun is about power, Gemini Moon about your mind, right? This is like, oh, am I in places where my mind thinks I'm not free? How, like, freedom is a state of mind, right? So it's like, oh shit, you know, just doing whatever you want isn't free, but not doing whatever you want isn't free. So it's a state of mind, right? I'm just kind of rambling. The Eight of Swords explores the realm of powerlessness, feeling helpless and weak where there are no possibilities available to influence a situation or relationship. This feeling can be all-consuming. You can be obsessed with this feeling, Scorpio Sun. We are utterly bound, and you can be very mental about it right now. Venus in Libra, as well as Mercury in retrograde in Libra, as well as the Moon in Gemini. Like, our minds might be a little fucked right now. We are utterly bound by the restrictions that the mind imposes, Gemini Moon, devoid of hope and unable to choose. Very much how this election feels. This card tells you to explore the existing restrictions in your life and ask how they can become catalysts for tremendous creativity and directed purpose. Have you been using this COVID lockdown to study new languages, get new skills, or have you been, like, realizing your habits and how destructive they are? Like, what's going on, right? Have you been? We've been in this mode collectively for a while. And winter is starting to come here, so it's actually a pretty day here in Colorado. But the image shows a beautiful woman bound using the Japanese art of restriction, kinbakubi, the beauty of tight binding. She is encased in an Egyptian sarcophagus. Her demeanor appears peaceful, as though this act of bondage and confinement has forced a conscious surrendering that is transformative. This is evident by the fluttering of butterflies at her head. The sarcophagus stands upright with the four swords staked in a beach like some great sculptural apparition. This marks her journey, a ritual of internal expansion. We're expanding our minds. What is Scorpio psychological, right? Very psychological. So it's like, what is happening? And with the moon and Gemini, it's like, how are my ideas and my beliefs affecting my reality? Essentially, if I believe there's a spoon, what does that mean? If there's no spoon, what does that mean? Oh my gosh, like, right? So, hovering in the air at sunset are two vessels of spirit technology, jewels of creative intelligence resonating with potential. This sword is double-edged. Gemini Sun, or Gemini rather Moon, double-edged. Libra and Venus, two sides of the coin. The edge of restriction on the one hand unleashes phenomenal power, Scorpio Sun, power. And on the other side, it is about feeling powerless in yourself and in a situation, feeling that there are no possibilities. This feeling can be all-consuming. We are utterly bound and devoid of hope and unable to choose. We fall victim to whatever or whoever is imposing the restriction. As with all the cards in the tarot, the crux is in the viewpoint, and most importantly, our capacity to act as a result of what's revealed. Feeling trapped by situations and circumstances can force something important to shift. I know this to be true for myself. So, I mean, this is the true. Something can shift in this hopeless mode. The discomfort becomes so intense, the pressure so great that transformation must happen. And power of transformation is Scorpio Sun. We're in a transformative time right now, Scorpio season. When we take away all options except complete fulfillment, then something within us is powerfully directed towards that objective. The more loose and free we are, the less focused strength we have to shape our reality. If you go into the store and you're like, I'm going to buy anything, and you're going to be shopping forever. You might not even get things you want. But if you're like, I'm going to go get almond milk, and that's all I'm getting, and you've restricted your freedoms, like, you're in and out of that bitch real quick, right? So it's just that simple. When we take away all options except complete fulfillment, then something within us is powerfully directed towards that objective. The more loose and free we are, the less focused strength we have to shape our reality. This is something that I have constantly explored in graphic design, art, and life in general. Although the Starman appears to contain an extraordinary amount of ideas and artistic elements, which there are quite a bit of things going on, so to speak, in all these cards, in fact, I imposed tremendous restrictions on myself throughout the entire creative process. Having utterly extraordinary creative technologies and countless references will not create something which truly touches people unless those resources are channeled through a small, discerning aperture of a great idea. The idea must create the pressure. The entry point is minuscule. So the idea in the analogy I was saying is like, I got to go shopping. It's like, are you going shopping and just going to spend $100 on Peeps and fucking, whatever you don't need? Or are you going to go in there and be like, I'm on a budget. I've got this focus. I need what I need. I'm going to buy the best thing that meets my needs. All this shit, right? Shopping. The entry point is minuscule. It strips everything back until the art and design are lean and strong. If you apply this discipline to every area of your life, you will discover that not only do you start to see amazing results, but you will also notice how much easier life gets. It sounds paradoxical at first. Paradox, Haley knows, is the nature of reality. We've been talking about that all morning because we're reading Gene Key 30, which I'm actually, I think, somehow related to. I have the 13, not the 30. Anyway, it sounds paradoxical at first. Making life harder then makes it easier, When we limit things and put ourselves in constrictive situations, that's where we shine. If anything goes, it's like nothing really stands out. It's all kind of whatever. Nothing exceptional occurs. But when like humans come down to a very small amount of population in Africa to like 2,000 people at one point or something like that. So, Darwinian evolutionists tell us, we become very different and very focused as a species. So this is about Eight of Swords, exploring the realm of constriction and how it frees you, because it can free you. Power of surrender, releasing, surrendering, letting it happen. Freedom is a state of mind and becoming a catalyst for transformation. Very appropriate. Very appropriate for not only Americans today, I feel, because everyone's like, I can't win. No one is really happy. I mean, if Trump wins, Trumpers are going to be happy, but everybody else is going to freak out. And if Biden wins, Trumpers are going to flip out and everyone else is going to be relieved, I guess, right? So it's like, no, it's a win. It's a lose-lose. So how are we in this bound situation? We have to surrender to it and say, it's happening for reasons that we don't even know. This is the Six of Fire. Very interesting card. Kind of a bearded fire priest with two swords. Ironically, black and white sword showing polarity. Gemini moon. This almost looks like something out of Eyes Wide Shut or something. It's a very kind of weird scene here. But let's go ahead and see what the Six of Fire has in store for us. Six of Fire, 245. Hopefully you're all doing well. Let me know where you're watching from. It's always fascinating for me, a double Gemini, to know where you are viewing this whole situation from. Six of Fire, healing, meditation, negotiation, arbitration, truce, boundaries, support, and diplomacy. Right? Venus is in Libra. Mercury is in retrograde in Libra. Gemini moon, it's all about like polarity, balance. You even see the polarity and the balance in the imaging here. Right? Like a white dude with a black sword, a black guy with a white outfit and a white sword. You see my point? Whatever's going on. Polarity. Key phrases, resolution is needed. Communication and diplomacy are required. Be willing to make concessions. Let go of bias. Be open-minded. Two sides to every disagreement. Know the facts. Understand your rights and don't be stubborn. It's a very interesting clarifier for this election day. The Six of Fire represents a time of healing through mediation, negotiation, or arbitration. It is a time when communication and diplomacy is required in order to end a conflict or dispute. Mercury retrograde in Libra, Venus in Libra. It's like let's be peacemakers. Let's use our heads to be diplomats and share ideas that are bigger. Gemini moon for powerful change and transformation. Scorpio sun. There are times in our lives when we may find ourselves caught in a dispute or a conflict after boundaries have been crossed, or our feelings hurt, or ego bruised. If lines of communication remain open and both parties are willing, I mean, this is pretty much how it's going to feel no matter... Someone's going to be butthurt tonight no matter what the results of the election are, right? Um, if lines of communication remain open and both parties, ironically both parties, right, are willing, the conflict can be resolved. However, there are often times when both parties find themselves unable to find or maintain the middle ground, and if they must continue to work or play a part in each other's lives, a mediator is required to negotiate or arbitrate a truce. There are times to every disagreement. There are two sides, rather, to every disagreement, and there are times when both parties involved can be right. That's the paradox. Both, yin is right, yang is right from their perspective. And times when both parties can be wrong. For there to be a good outcome, both parties must first be willing to at least hear each other's viewpoint. And there are times when this will only happen if a mediator steps in to hear both sides without bias. Sometimes mediation is all that is required, and the simple act of allowing both parties to air their grievance and present their points of view allow them to come to a resolution on their own, right? People just want to be heard. And sometimes they're like, I have an opinion, and everyone can agree to disagree, but it's like you still want to express yourself and not just mute yourself like North Korea or something like that. There are also times when arbitration will be required because neither party is willing to make a concession or allowance for the feelings or rights of the other. This seems like the two-party system in America right now. Both sides of the devil. No one wants to hear any of the reasons of the other side. Liberals think Trump is the Antichrist. Trumpers think liberals are the bane of America, right? So it's just like this crazy impasse. It is left to the arbitrator, who is the witness, ultimately you yourself, it is left to the arbitrator to determine who is in the right based upon the laws of the land. Even if a complete resolution cannot be achieved, the Six of Fire asks that we remain conciliatory at this time. An open mind, Gemini Moon, and a willingness to meet the other party halfway, Venus and Libra, will stand us in good stead. The Six of Fire may all present a pending legal situation where rules or laws have been broken, and as a result, harm has been done to the other. The law will determine who is right and who is wrong. Justice will be served. So no one fret about the election results. It's all going to pan out how it needs to. I believe in a righteous God, if you want to put it that way, but like karma happens. It's going to be okay. In this circumstance, be sure to keep your emotions under control and have your facts straight. Emotions under control, Scorpio Sun, facts straight, Gemini Moon. Remain respectful of the laws that are in place and be both courteous and considerate at all times. It reminds me a little of in Philadelphia, the kind of irony is like the people at the Philadelphia Phillies games are going to throw batteries if they win. Philadelphia won the World Series and they rioted. If they hadn't won, they probably would have rioted. Hopefully people aren't going to riot no matter what the outcomes are tonight, right? Or whenever they come. I highly doubt we'll get a president announced tomorrow. Remain respectful of the laws that are in place and be both courteous and considerate at all times. Your behavior, your attitude at this time may have a bearing on the outcome, as will a sound knowledge of your rights and responsibilities. Do not allow a lack of awareness or immoderate behavior to place you at a disadvantage, right? So use your head, Gemini Moon, right? To be powerful and transformative, but maybe quiet. Scorpio is reserved a little, right? And with the Eight of Swords as the card, there's 8 people watching. This is kind of ironic. Number sync all of a sudden. Eight of Swords is telling us we might feel bound. We might feel like we can't, oh my gosh, no matter what I do, I can't win. I want to do this and it's bad for me. Or I don't want to do this, but it's what I need to do. Like that kind of thing, right? And with the Six of Fire coming out, it's like we might feel this very much in external relationships, right? Like power plays and politics, quite frankly. So very interesting reading for this election day. I know most people aren't really happy with either choice, quite frankly. I mean, unless you're a diehard, like, QAnon person, I don't think anybody's like, Trump is the man. And even Democrats like Andrew Yang or, what's his name? Bernie Sanders would have been a better choice. Like, Biden's not, like, a great choice. But here we are. This is kind of where we're at. So, we've got number 1. Beautiful card for this level of consternation and arbitration and not confusion, but like, just like, oh, and you might hear a lot of hammers and shit. People are doing work on my roof. I apologize. I have my earbuds in, so I know it's loud, but yeah, you guys can hear that for sure. So anyway, number 1, this is a card. It says Beyond Wisdom, and this is really what we need right now. Something beyond wisdom, and the mystical wisdom of Scorpio, but also the intellectual wisdom, knowledge, if you want to put it that way, of Moon in Gemini and Venus in Libra. It's like, let's come to some beautiful truths and deep truths beyond wisdom. It's called Founders. Our founding fathers would be shitting themselves if they saw this election today. Founders, Beyond Wisdom, Parallel Timeline. The Founders represent the abiding awareness, the one consciousness that spans time and space. This consciousness is aware of its simultaneous existence as both the whole and its separate parts. There's the paradox, right? Being represented in the Six of Swords. It's like it's both sides. Like you are an individual and you are part of a collective. It created an illusion of fragmentation so that we could have individual lifetimes, but its wholeness still abides and is ultimately the consciousness that sees through the eyes of every living soul. This is your true self. Some call it God. Because this card points to your true nature, it is the most powerful card of this deck. Nice pull for this day. And I do apologize, the roof is being redone as we speak. It cuts through illusion and it moves beyond wisdom. It is you. Remember. So we're all one abiding consciousness. It's the base ground. I was talking to Haley about this morning. It's like love, the one consciousness is the ground level. And we've all gotten up to the penthouse level, like level 12 or whatever. And we're like, I'm an individual. I'm a white man from America who will vote this way or whatever. And we're playing this individual trip. But at the bottom line, at the substrate is the unity of all things. At the same time, I'm still up on the 12th floor. So it's like, but the building is on ground level simultaneously. Does that make sense? Good God, I feel like I'm under attack, but it's just hammers, I guess. Because humans appear to exist in a linear, separate reality, we cannot have a card that truly embodies the energy of the complete wholeness and have the human mind, Gemini Moon, be able to perceive this truth. This is like an esoteric truth. It's a hidden truth, Scorpio Sun. If it were to be represented in this deck, it would have to be card 0, like the Fool card. This card, number 1, holds the energy of our initial fragmentation from Source. This fragmentation, looking at it from a linear perspective, created many subgroups of wise beings, manifesting as group consciousness systems, who act as the architects of our journey through polarity and back into wholeness. So from one, the many, from the many, the diverse, in unity. They maintain the memory of being a whole and separate at the same time and got us through this journey. They are a manifestation of the great hologram of creation that contains all things and potentials. This is why the theme is Beyond Wisdom. What they offer has little to do with intellectual knowledge or even what is called, quote, wisdom. They represent us in our integrated state and help us maintain the memory of our true state of existence as one being throughout all creation, manifesting as both separate and unified simultaneously. The consciousness Germain, who channeled this card system to Lisa Royal Holt, like these cards, Galactic Heritage cards, represents this group consciousness. If this appears to you in a spread, it's a reminder of your true nature and a suggestion to never get distracted by the chaos or intensity of the physical existence. Perfect for election day, perfect for the trapped feelings, perfect for like, oh my God, there's two sides. How do I peacefully resolve this? We're all one thing anyway, and just kind of laugh at it. Don't take it too seriously. Let yourself feel the connection with the source in a way that goes beyond your mind, Gemini Moon, into a powerful transformative magic, Scorpio Sun. As this connection grows stronger within you, it can serve as a guiding force in your life. Trust that connection, right? So it's be still and know kind of energy, right? The peace beyond understanding, as the Bible would say. It's like, oh, our minds could say, I'm trapped, I'm limited, oh my gosh, I'm separate, I'm stuck, all this shit, right? Oh my gosh, there's an enemy, I'm this guy, I'm a Jedi, he's a Sith. How do we figure out a middle ground? It's like, it is the dance of polarity that the unity consciousness is having. So it's all good. Everything that's happening, there's no mistakes, folks. It's all happening perfectly on time. We're in an orchestra where we might not understand everybody's parts. Like the oboe player doesn't understand why the timpani is doing what it's doing. It's like, that's not what my sheet music says. But everybody's playing this huge orchestra called creation. And here we are jamming real hard at this moment. And hopefully we're becoming more and more self-aware simultaneously. So let's go ahead and get an animal oracle card. We've got the owl, wisdom. Right? We got beyond wisdom, but we're really being told we're one thing, but given that we're separate things, what's the wisest way to go about this? That's what we're being told right now. Let me put these cards down and tell you what it says. So, beyond wisdom was a card, and then wisdom coming out. This is hilarious to me. And even with the Eight of Swords, it's like there's a wisdom in letting go and surrendering and knowing that you're not a victim. It's like hard situations happen for your growth, right? You've asked for it, and you're getting exactly what you consciously or subconsciously, quite frankly, mostly, believe you deserve, believe what you need to experience. That's the whole trip. That's why your flavor is the flavor. We're one unity having, it's almost like Gaia, right? And then we're hair follicles of Gaia. We're experiencing individuality for the sake of the whole. It's beautiful. It's crazy. So how can we get wisdom out of this? Wisdom, open your eyes and see what is really there. Unity. Look for the whole truth, as you may only be seeing part of the whole. You might be focusing on your perspective and not the whole situation, right? If you understand that like your enemy is actually you in another form or whatever, you're going to treat them a little differently than if you're just like, you're my antagonist and I'm the protagonist and fuck you, right? That's just not how it works. Through experience, we can gain wisdom to not make the same mistakes again. That's the time loop we're on. Atlantis did this before. It's been happening in every iteration, since the beginning of the beginning. So here we are in this present moment. Let's be wise in our present moment. Develop your learning and intelligence, Moon and Gemini, as education is never wasted. Negotiation is better than attack. Venus and Libra, Mercury and Libra, retrograde. But it's like, right now is not a time to attack perceived enemies, perceived limits, perceived flaws. Right now is a time to understand and say, it's all divine, it's all perfect, it's all good. Ho'oponopono or whatever. Thank you for existing, even though you're not me. I love you. I'm sorry that, there's a differentiation, but we chose this, that kind of stuff. That's wisdom, right? Mythos. The Greek goddess Athena was a virgin daughter of Zeus, and it is her name that the Greeks gave to their harbor city, Athens. Beautiful, strong, refined, and very rational, Athena thoughtfully encouraged and led her human subjects and mentored her favorite heroes. The ancient Greeks loved Athena, and many complex temples were built in her honor. Her mythos states that she was born from Zeus's brow, and later sat by his side in Olympus for all decision-making. A goddess with many attributes including weaving, scholastic attainment, very Gemini moon, intelligence, philosophy, and olive oil production. There was very little that Athena could not influence. Her avatar, an owl, symbolizes her reputation for wisdom. It was said that this very modern goddess had a cool beauty and that her eyes were, quote, bright and observed everything. Very Gemini moon. They observe a lot. As does Scorpio sun. It's very observational. Just as an owl would, giving her a reputation of total watchfulness. In her early form, she was also a goddess of the night, so having a nocturnal bird as her avatar makes rational sense. It was said that even as a younger goddess, Athena sought the whole truth, so she wanted to ensure that all sides of a situation were seen before making a decision. That's beyond wisdom, knowing that all sides have to be arbitrated properly. This guy has some rights, this yin has some rights, they have different perspectives, they're playing together. How can this person be the Athena, the arbitrator, right? Even if they feel stuck in the situation, they're like, well, there's no winner, there's no loser, how do we go forward? It was said that even as a younger goddess, Athena sought out the whole truth and so wanted to ensure that all sides of a situation, she saw all sides before she made a decision. She knew owls had an incredible vision and did not miss much, so she decided to always have an owl with her if she could keep an eye out on her blind side. This way she would miss nothing and see everything, especially anything that was dark, hidden, sun in Scorpio, knowing what's up and keeping your wits about you, moon in Gemini. The animal. Owls are found on every continent except for polar caps and are normally one of the apex predators of a region. They famously have big eyes situated in front of their heads and are mainly nocturnal. As hunters, the ability to perceive prey in low light or darkness is of vital importance, and these birds have evolved to do this very well. The eyes are placed within a feathered facial disc that act as a kind of capture shape to direct the sound into the ears. The eyes do not move much, so the head can swivel around 360 degrees in some species. That's crazy. Interestingly, a large proportion of owls have an asymmetrical placement of ears. Mercury and Libra, retrograde, asymmetrical balance, which helps them exactly pinpoint their prey. Owls are also incredibly silent, both sitting and in flight. Very Scorpio sun, quiet, reserved. They have a neck ruffles and muffle the sound of their head turning, and their wings have serrated ends that enable them to swoop down on their prey with virtually no sound whatsoever. The owl, best associated with Athena, is the little owl, Athena noctua, which is often depicted with her in artwork. These birds have quite distinctive big yellow eyes framed in startling white eyebrows. The magic. The use of owl magic is an ancient practice, and it is a moon day, so we can be very magical today. The energy is used in cultures as diverse as ancient Greek and Roman to Northern European and First Nations of the Americas. Use owl magic when you seek wisdom in a situation and perhaps you are not seeing the whole truth and wish to do so. When you want to arbitrate well, when you're trapped by ignorance, in a sense, when you feel trapped, it's like just surrender to it, and then you will go into the unity mode beyond wisdom. Like you'll be like, oh, it's all good. I see the highest timeline for all these participants involved. Owl magic is helpful when you cannot make a decision. Mercury in retrograde in Libra, as well as Venus in Libra, indecision. Gemini moon, indecision can be problematic. Or when you need to take a rational view of an emotionally charged situation. Emotionally charged situation, sun in Scorpio, a rational view. Gemini moon. It's like, yo, I'm not going to just like reach for my gun if I think there's a prowler. I'm going to be like, who's there? And not just shoot my spouse by accident, right? You've heard those horror stories where like, well, I thought it was a burglar, but it was my grandchild and I killed them. It's like you were reacting out of fear emotionally as opposed to rationally. And you thought, if I have a gun, I'll keep myself safe. It's like, no, you just killed your loved one by accident, you dummy. But that's what you signed up for in this lifetime, so enjoy the fucking lesson. As impartially as I can say that. So, let's go ahead and get an Art Oracle card and a stone, and I will jam on my electric, because there's probably no way you can hear. Tracy Emin, very... this is some Scorpio Sun shit. Very sexual. Money coming from her hoo-ha, it seems. Or whatever that is. I'm not sure exactly. So let's see what Tracy Emin has to say for us on this moon day. Like a good friend rolled in garbage, the work of Tracy Emin, British rep at the 2007 Venice Biennale, is both intimate and a potential biohazard. In Everyone I've Ever Slept With, 1963 to 95, the viewer is welcomed into a small camping tent in which Emin delivers on the title with those bedmates' names appliqued to the interior walls. Her acclaimed and contested My Bed consists of Emin's mattress after a depressive episode topped with stained sheets, stained panties, contraceptives, empty bottles, cigarette butts, and the emotional compost that fertilized this mess. Scorpio, taboos, right? Scorpio Sun, but Gemini, very expressive. Gemini Moon, very kind of intellectually expressive. Like, here, I'll show you in a playful way, like, how fucked up I am, right? As we all are. Emin's personal and confessional works are not only self-portraits, but reflections of societal taboos. Very Scorpio Sun. So, what we have from Tracy Emin is... decay can be fertilizer for new ideas. Miss Emin is saying decay can be fertilizer for new ideas. When we feel trapped, when we feel at a loss, Eight of Swords, when we feel unsure and we're stuck and we're like, oh my God, this is dying, it's decaying. I can't win here, right? When we're coming to this Six of Fire, well, Facebook just died, so whatever, I'll post this instead. So when we come to this place of emotional kind of overload, right? And we're like, I can't win. How do I come to the best middle ground here? We need to go into the unity of it all, beyond wisdom, the Founders card, right? The first card. Get into a place of wisdom, and wisdom is bigger than your situation, quite frankly. And know that death can be a fertilizer for new life. Like right now, this American political system, a shit show. No one's really happy, but is this going to cause the fertilization of new ideas, new patriots, new people who want to be politically active because they're so fed up with what it is, right? You can feel very stuck, and it can actually be fertilizer for a beautiful thing to come that you wouldn't expect. There's a power in that surrender to the process. Death and destruction, Scorpio Sun, is just as much a part of life as anything you might, think of. So, we've got Topaz as the crystal card. I'm really glad I have this. I'm glad I have all my decks, quite frankly, but this is a cool deck because I have a lot of Taurus energy, Midheaven, North Node, Venus, and Taurus. I don't own that many crystals. So this is a good way to quantumly entangle with stuff I don't have and be like, yes, this energy exists. Topaz, what it is. Topaz is the world's hardest silicon-based mineral. Its name alludes to the Sanskrit word for fire. In the Middle Ages, it was believed to cure crazy. Who needs it? Anyone burning A, the midnight oil, B, the candle at both ends, C, bridges, D, all the above. With Mercury in retrograde in Libra, we might be burning bridges, right? Somebody who's doing too much work, being obsessive, midnight oil burning, that's Scorpio Sun. It's like, I got to do this until it's done, until it's right. Burning the candle at both ends, Gemini Moon, might be, doing too much. Where to put it? Wherever the action needs to happen. When to use it? When you're aiming in the right direction, but keep misfiring. Passion is totally indispensable, but if you're not careful with it, it might burn you up. Call on Topaz to transform wild obsessions, Sun and Scorpio, into laser-like focus and burning desires into getting things done. It says increase your firepower. Right now we're being told, our pistol's empty, let's reload. We're stuck. We're like, click, 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 click. It's like, holy shit, is the bad guy going to come get me? And there's like this powerlessness, right? That's where we are collectively, for sure. And we're trying to come to this place where it's like, well, how do I deal with opposite foes, opposing foes? Do I love them? Do I just pull an Obi-Wan and let them kill me? Do I reload the gun, metaphorically speaking? Right, we're in a holding pattern. We're like, how do I operate in this duality, right? And to know that you're part of an infinite unity is beyond wisdom, is the love that is beyond everything. Decay can be fertilizer for new ideas. So it's like challenges are what we asked for. Don't cry about them. If we wanted total peace and oming out, you wouldn't have incarnated on this Earth School. So increase your firepower by submitting maybe into the lesson fully, surrendering, and then coming to a place of arbitration, essentially, within yourself, knowing that the one is in the all is in the one, that what you do to your enemies as well as your friends is what you're doing to yourself. What you do to yourself is happening to others quantumly, right? And that everything is necessary all the time for what's going on, right? Decay can be and is fertilizer for new ideas. So tap into your firepower, Topaz, and get out there and do it. So let's go ahead and jam. I only have this one thing because my freaking phone collapsed. I don't know. Maybe I should stop doing Facebook Lives because it tends to freeze or collapse. You know, the app dies more often than not. I'm just kind of like, you know what? This is on YouTube now, so you guys aren't having this issue. And that's why I do both. Haha. So let me try to get this situated. Cool. And cool. Alright, so we've got the Eight of Swords. You might be feeling real bluesy and trapped, overwhelmed. You just gotta surrender. Just gotta give in. Let it pass, because it has to occur. That's why it's occurring. And we, with the Six of Fires, the clarifier, let's not just be rash to take sides with what we agree with. Like, oh, we're the right guys and they're the wrong guys. Fuck them. That's not the look here. We have to surrender to even our idea of difference, ultimately, which is real at a level, but it's also an illusion at a level. So, Eight of Swords. surprised I don't hear a bunch of hammering. So we might feel overwhelmed, stuck, bluesy, sad, but we have to process and persevere, quite frankly. So what we have is the Eight of Swords. We're like, oh my God, I'm grounded and I can't get out. Help, I'm trapped and I can't get unstuck. What's the power in surrendering to that moment? How can we find balance in the paradox externally as well as internally? How can we be this middle person as opposed to just picking a side, Gemini Moon, Venus and Libra? How can we find the balance, right? Going beyond wisdom, beyond conventional wisdom, going to the unity of all things. Yes, you have a role, and yes, you're playing it, and yes, there's even equal opposite polarity to where your node on Indra's net is. But basically, this whole trip is good and necessary. Decay can be fertilizer for new ideas. Try to take this trap feeling and this bluesiness and this stuckedness and try to use it to your advantage wisely, beyond wisdom. Use your head, Gemini Moon. Increase your firepower. Power is a very strong resonator with Scorpion Sun. So try to be powerful. And sometimes power is not just thrashing about. Sometimes power is letting go. Sometimes power is coming to peace. Finding agreement. Sometimes power is surrendering to the unity of all things. Sometimes power is, the difficult right over the easy wrong. That kind of thing, right? Know that even in this time of change, tumult, death, even potentially collapse, that good things, new ideas, new realities are being birthed constantly. We wouldn't be here if the dinosaurs hadn't died, for example. So good things can come out of tragedy, if you want to put it that way. And increase your firepower. Believe in yourself, and sometimes increasing your firepower means going within, like she is doing, as opposed to trying to deal with everything out there. If that makes any sense. Hopefully that does. Holler for readings, astrological charts or cards. Love giving them. People love getting them. No podcast today. Enjoy the election, America, and enjoy watching the process unfold before our very eyes of history, I guess you could say. Always. The present moment is historically important. And yeah, love yourself. Try to not be so engaged with the outside world. Try to just be still. This is like, okay, I give up. Fine, universe, do what you want with me. Let's see where that goes, right? And then you come to a place of like, oh, I see both sides. I'm from this still place now. Wow. I'm seeing the unity of all things. I'm acting from a place of wisdom. I'm understanding that death is part of life and life is a part of death. That's how you increase your firepower, basically. So hopefully that makes sense. Have a good moon day.